We're here with Jeremy Urbach from Geschmack Herring. And what we would like to do today is talk about our lives, talk about Judaism, how we could bring Mashiach. And there's some pretty cool and unique stories that I think are going to come up today. I'm excited to be sitting here with Jeremy. Jeremy is someone that I think he's a big face of the next generation. And what I'm seeing from the limited time that I've seen him over the last year or so is that he's a real force to be reckoned with. He's really someone that wants to go out into the world and make a big difference. And he does it with comedy, does it with being bodacious and courageous and just putting himself out there. And he has a really cool message and he's a very likable guy. And I think when you hear his story, it's gonna be enlightening and hopefully really inspiring to you. And hopefully you could learn something and take something away from the message that Jeremy has and how he lives his life. So Jeremy, tell me, what made you come up with the name Geschmack Herring and going out into the streets and going into 770 and really causing waves and shoals and communities across the world? How did this happen? What's your story?
So it actually goes back a long time to high school. Actually, maybe even before. Like grade 9 or 10, I was always into making videos. Like regardless, even in high school, I was on the student council and like I would literally just go around the school asking people like where they're going for the winter break, just random questions, and I would make videos for YouTube. And then after high school, I went to yeshiva, and it was my first exposure to like pure Yiddishkeit, Pneumius. I got super into Yiddishkeit and Masorah and everything. And then when I went to school, it was COVID, so there was nothing to do. And essentially, like I wanted to share my Torah with the world and also like be involved in some extracurricular activity, but everything was closed. So I just had to make something for myself. So I made Geschmack Herring. The name just randomly came to me. I've always loved herring, like always my whole life. And I knew Geschmack was an awesome word. I even spelt it wrong with an I. And I didn't even know that wasn't how you spell it. But now that's how we spell it. You know, it was meant to be, obviously. And yeah, I chose the name randomly. And I started just making little videos of Divrei Torah. Like I would just like read a Mishnah from Pirkei Avos in my dorm room and then just like post it on the Instagram. And then this one Shabbat, these two shluchim from Newmarket came to my school. And they brought herring, and we filmed a herring review, like just randomly. And I also have to say, like at my school, the Chabad let me do whatever I wanted. So like if I wanted to go make a herring video there at like 5 a.m., they would just let me. Like I knew where the key was, and I would just do whatever. And my friends just kept telling me, like, these are really funny, keep doing it. So I kept doing it, and I would get all these interesting guests on the show. And I guess more people found out about it. And then what I started to do was just kind of ask people questions in the field because I was talking to a bunch of interesting guests, but it was kind of long content. I wanted to like go out in the wild, in the shetach, you know, and just kind of like ask people questions randomly. And those videos just blow up. Everyone likes them. And then I guess shuls got involved is because like we're young and we're passionate about Yiddishkeit. So why wouldn't they? And we've been going around to different shuls. People have been sponsoring their kiddushes with our herring. We now have herring. That like came out of this Instagram too. That's kind of the whole story.
Wow. That's beautiful. So at what point did you realize, okay, this is something that I want to, it's not just a hobby. It's a little bit more than just a hobby. When did you notice that? Like, what were you feeling when it like hit you? Like, what was going on for you?
So it was definitely kind of after the school year, I think May. And it's when adults started to tell me how much they appreciated what I did. Like you and Adam and even a bunch of other adults from the community. They've invited me over. They've promoted me. And like just knowing that the older generation believes in me, it's like, wow, this is legit. And like, I can do this.
Wow.
That was for sure.
And how did that feel when you started noticing, like, how did that feel for you and your body when adults started calling you up and saying, hey, could you come to our shul and do a little thing over there with our shul or come to the kiddush? How did that feel for you?
It felt awesome. Like I got to, Geschmack Herring is something I created and now I get to share it with the world, which is what I've always wanted to do. Wow. So it was just awesome.
And you say it's something that you've always wanted to do. Is this something that as a child you've thought about or looked into or dreamt about of being in the spotlight?
No, but one time I was like 13 and I did something crazy and probably silly. And my sister was like, I hate it so much, but I know you're going to be famous one day, Jeremy. But wow. I never really put too much thought to it. I just kind of I just do life.
You were mentioning that before that you went to yeshiva. So tell me a little bit about your journey, about being non-religious, and what inspired you want to go to yeshiva and to want to start living that lifestyle.
I went to chat, and I think I was one of 4 people from my grade who went to yeshiva. And I was originally going to go on this program, Nativ, which is like a co-ed conservative program. which is what my older sister did. But when I was speaking to the vice principal, he was like, there's yeshiva. It's a great opportunity for men. And I was looking into yeshiva, and I don't even know why I considered it in the first place, because like back then, like going to yeshiva was something crazy, but I just felt like I had to, like there was just something like missing, like a crucial part of my identity. All the Torah I was learning was just for school and like for marks. And there were like little source sheets. I never just, actually went to the Svarim. We found this yeshiva, Ashrenu, and it was like a 3-pillar program. It was 1/3 learning, 1/3 traveling, and 1/3 volunteering. And, I had no experience in yeshiva, so I just went to that one because it was the lightest on the learning. But turns out the learning was my favorite part. And I was actually like missing a lot of the other things just so I could stay in the base and learn with the rabbis. Yeah, for sure the best year of my life. Being in Israel, like just surrounded by Rebbeim. The Rebbeim at these yeshivas like are unreal people. And especially at mine, they were all really diverse. Like there was a Hasidish one, there was like a Litvish one, there was a Yekisha one, there was Haredi ones. Like my Gemara Rebbe was a Haredi guy who lived in Beit Shemesh with a flip phone, and he's a Baal Tshuva and went to Harvard.
Wow.
And they're just like incredible people. There's something about learning Torah in Israel. It's just like, wow, I'm like fulfilling a 3,000-year-old dream. And like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me a little bit more about your life when it comes to your religion. Were you always religious? Do you remember eating not kosher? Like, what's your life journey?
So I grew up like conservative. My parents are traditional, but growing up, we never kept Shabbat. We would eat unkosher dairy. You know, that like little style thing?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. And even growing up for me, like I was in Jewish day school. I went to RHA. I was always more religious than my friends. Even though like we didn't keep Shabbat and eat fully kosher, I always was. And in grade 10, I went to Israel for a second semester, and I just like put on tzitzis like towards the end of the semester. I don't know why. I thought it was cool. Everyone else in Israel was doing it. I didn't think much of it. Like I was struggling with keeping Shabbat on and off. And then once I was in yeshiva, I just knew that I was keeping everything, and it was awesome. And obviously when I came back, I went to university. So the Yiddishkeit, took a bit of a dip, and it was hard. But, Baruch Hashem for Chabad, that's like a whole other story. But it kind of just re-sparked and made me like energized me into a new Yid. And yeah, now I'm keeping Shabbos, kosher, and tzitzis. Yeah, tefillin every day, davening. And yeah, that's kind of my journey.
So to get a little personal right now, how do you see yourself in life? Do you see yourself living an Orthodox lifestyle, and what type of Orthodox lifestyle? And part 2 to that question is, how do you reconcile that with your parents and the way they grew up, because they're not Orthodox, and how are you gonna bridge that relationship that you still respect them, and at the same time you're living what you want to live?
I mean, it's hard when I'm living in their house, but now I'm like leaving, and I'm moving to Israel, going to the army. I don't know what I'll do after that, but I definitely want to be Orthodox in my life. Like, this is how I want to live. I'm a Yid, and we have instructions, and I want to live how we're supposed to.
And how would that show up in the relationship with your parents if they're not Orthodox? It's like, if you don't live in the same area as them, that means you can't come to their house on Shabbos. What does that look like?
I don't think there'll be lots of problems, because right now in my house, like, I'm Shomer Shabbat, my mom is Shomer Shabbat, my sisters are. It's just pretty much my dad. That's not. So we're already pretty, religious. So I don't think it'd be a problem.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and they'll just come over. Bezrat Hashem, we'll have a huge house, Gishmak Herring Mansion. We can host everyone.
I see you're going to the army. You mentioned you go to the army, and you have this passion for Israel and Yids and Yidlings, and you have this Gishmak Herring. And where did this passion come from, and what fuels your passion for all of this?
When I was in grade 10, I went to Israel for the semester. I just realized that Israel's home. Like, when I'm there, I just feel home. And it's really simple to me. Even when I was in yeshiva, when I've been there over the past few years, it's just home. And Canada isn't home. It's never really felt like home. Everyone like speaks different languages. Like, everyone's super different. I don't even know what like everyone is. But in Israel, it's just home. Like, one time I was waiting at the bus, and this mom was pushing a stroller with 2 kids and holding another kid. And she just handed the baby to me. Like, I was wearing tzitzis and a kippah, and she just handed me her baby to take a phone call.
Yeah.
Like, only in Israel.
Yeah, it's like we're one family.
Yeah, and I think that it's worth fighting for, 1,000%. I feel like I'm brothers with every Israeli who's risking their life to fight for our nation's survival. So I feel like I have to do it also.
There's something so beautiful about what you said. It's like, the only time that I've seen such relationship is with other Jews. And it's so beautiful how you could see a guy in the airport, or you could be at a bus stop and some mother hands you the baby. It's like we're one family. Yeah, your name is Urbach and my name is Forer and this guy's Klasner. But at the end of the day, that's so beautiful. So as a follow-up, why is that so important to you?
I think Israel is just our home, and our home is worth fighting for. I love being in Israel. It's where our people are from. It's where we deserve to be. It's where we belong. And it's the most important thing for me because I wanna make my life there. I want to make my life in Israel, and I want to just, I don't know, at the end of the day, like, it's important to me, but it's also important for all the Yidden, and I care about all the Yidden. I just live and breathe Am Yisrael Chai. That's just like who I am, and I don't think there's a logical explanation. It's just who I am, and like I'll die for Am Yisrael for sure.
It's that new generation, I think, that you guys like really feel. It's not just black and white anymore. Like the world has changed where you're really acting on what you believe in, and then you feel the belief and you're acting from your belief system. That's amazing. On that note, could you see yourself living in Israel forever?
I don't really think too far ahead, just because my life is always constantly changing. But I definitely want to like have a family in Israel for sure. Raise kids in Israel, 100%. But, North America will always be part of my life. There are tons of Yidden here, and I can't abandon them. So I'll definitely be back.
And how do you envision, or what do you think of long-term for Geschmack Herring?
I think it'll for sure keep growing. I don't know. I have no idea. But, when I started it 4 years ago, it was just Divrei Torah, and then it involved eating herring and then reviewing other foods. And I don't know. The answer is who knows? But I hope it'll be bigger, and I hope it'll inspire more people. And ultimately, I hope it brings Mashiach, because at the end of the day, that's what I want to do. Exactly. I just want to bring Mashiach.
What is your mission?
My mission is to bring Mashiach, 100%. Get people excited about being Jewish. Like, being a Jewish is really cool. And I feel like when people in my generation and younger people, they look at Judaism and they're like, oh, I have to wear a long skirt. Nah, you get to wear a long skirt, and it's awesome. And all the mitzvot are legendary. And that's a message I want to convey. And when people are excited about doing mitzvot, hopefully Mashiach will come. My
next question is, what do we have to do? What other message could you tell us that we have to do, or we could tap into, or an energy that we need to bring Mashiach?
Definitely all Jews need to love each other. We all need to love each other. That's a huge thing we need to do.
Right. Wow. And how does that look like in life, in real time?
Like, let's say you're going to Savers and one person's parked in two spots. Instead of like being angry and be like, oh, this Yid, just be like, I'm angry, but this is my brother and I love him so much, even though they took two parking spots. I think that's what it has to look like. We have to like look past the small inconveniences to see the bigger picture, that we're persecuted all over the world and all we have is each other.
Right.
So we can't hate each other.
Right. And I think especially in a time like today, since October 7th, I think what the world is showing us is that we have to come together. Yeah. I don't care if you're from, or you're religious, or you're Orthodox, or you're conservative, or you're Reform. Who cares? Yeah. Like it's just labels. Like why do we even have to label each other?
Yeah. Like during the Holocaust, no one cared, which Jew was wearing a kippah and which Jew wasn't wearing a kippah.
Exactly.
They're all just brothers. Yeah. And we just need to tap into that. Yeah. And it sucks that it always has to be a bad thing that forces us into it. But I think when we realize that it's the proper way, then Mashiach will come.